It's time to move away from the US Civil War for a few days and head back to the Napoleonic era. And in front of us here we've got the setup for the Battle of Vimiero, 21 August 1808. Hope I've pronounced that right. And what we've got here are the French at this end of the board facing a British force with some Polish units. So historically the French launched attacks through the centre here, trying to capture the hills in front of the town of Vimeiro and occupy the town. And the aim was for them to come forward, I understand, and pin the centre while French units outflanked the British left flank. In reality, what happened was the French assault through the centre was unsuccessful. They were beaten back by volleys of British fire, thereby not pinning the centre, and Wellesley was able to wheel to face the threat that came from his left flank. My job as the French and British commander is to change history, certainly as the French perspective anyway. So just looking at the French deployment, moving from their left flank, we've got some light infantry, then mainly line infantry right across, supported by foot artillery and some light and heavy cavalry, some grenadiers in reserve in the middle, and much the same on the right with line infantry supported by some artillery and light and heavy cavalry. Looking over to Wellesley's side of the battlefield, on his right flank he has line infantry through the centre, line infantry right across, supported by light infantry, some light British cavalry, light Portuguese cavalry, the rifle unit of Sharp, presumably, sitting here, supported by some Portuguese line, and predominantly line on his left flank with some artillery in support. So that's the setup for scenario 3 in the Command and Colours Napoleonic playbook. Let's see how this plays out. Okay, we're a few turns into the game and all the action has happened on the French right flank, where they decided to start their attack. And the French have pushed the British line off the hill, driven the British line right back and inflicted quite heavy casualties on them. As you can see here, we have British casualties with one complete unit destroyed at a cost of that many French units. So nothing else has occurred on the battlefield where all the action has been on the right flank. So a strong push by the French there. They haven't brought up their artillery in support, which is probably a mistake, and their reserves here are quite a way back. So the British are about to have their turn, and it'll be interesting to see what they do here, because they are very vulnerable with those 3 very weak units left. Okay, and the battle continues into the night, and the action is all still happening on the French right flank, where they have really decimated most of the units there, and it's just a foot artillery unit and some line infantry holding out against some sustained cavalry charges. But that foot artillery unit have been pouring canister into both those cavalry charges, and it's been taking quite a heavy toll of the French cavalry, so they've held out really well. On the rest of the battlefield it's been exceedingly quiet, with just some movement of the French cavalry getting into position, but otherwise it's been solely determined on the right flank of the French. Okay, here's the situation at the end of the battle, and it's been a comprehensive win to the French with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 victory points. I played out the last attacks after we'd crossed the victory threshold, and the British only managing to get 3 victory points. So as mentioned earlier, all the action happened on the right flank of the French, who attacked there in strength early on and never let up. The British were unable to reinforce their left flank. There just wasn't the opportunity, because each time these forces here on the British were attacked, they needed to attack back to survive. So I just couldn't bring any forces across to help them. So a very strong French victory on the right flank. It was costly in casualties, but not as much as the British. And just towards the end of the game here, as we crossed over that victory threshold, 2 infantry units attacked a British unit in the forest here and destroyed them and forced their leader back, picking up another victory point there. So the Battle of Vimeiro, 21 August 1808, has been won by the French. Great effort. May we play this one tomorrow.